This episode of St. James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website, totalsupplements.co, to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes, and natural extracts. From popular sports supplements like whey protein, creatine, vitamin tablets, and powders, to mental health supplements such as nootropics and mushrooms, they've got you totally covered. They also have men's health collection offering testosterone support and beauty supplements to keep you looking like your absolute best. I personally use Total Supplements products, and I have been using them from before they came on board to sponsor the podcast, so I'm hugely excited to be partnering with a brand that I know and love. So whether you train hard, work hard, or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code stjames'pod, that's STJAMESPOD, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St. James's Pod sent you. And we're back after Newcastle United were robbed in Paris by what many were calling before the game the best referee in the world, and also VAR, and also imaginary minutes were put on the clock. So we're going to be diving into all that, and we're also going to be talking about how well the lads did, apart from that fantastic performances from front to back. So let's dive into that first, and then we'll talk about Man United at the weekend. Guys, obviously you've watched the game. Fantastic performance, wasn't it, first of all?
Amazing. Every man to themselves was just next level. Like the fact that they had energy levels right up until the end, knowing that there wasn't anybody that we wanted to bring on off the bench at that throughout that game. Like, it was just incredible that they were still going. And, just amazing. Like, so I cannot fault a single one of them. They put in 10 out of 10s across the board for me.
Yeah, like, our bench consisted of 2 keepers, 4 teenagers, and Paul Dummett. And the fact that, like, we were defending so well, everyone was doing the job so, like, properly, that, like, I don't think anyone wanted to change it. Like, he was so happy with, like, the shift they were putting in. There was maybe 1 or 2 looking a bit leggy, but no one was, like, dead on their feet. So just don't change it, hold out, and we would have done if it wasn't for these diabolical scenes at the end, to be honest.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because that's obviously the main talking point. Eddie Howe, after the game, he was more critical than I've ever seen him, even though he was very, very calm and, like, level on it. He basically said, like, what all of us were saying is that it's very, very clearly not a penalty. It comes off his body onto his arm for a start. And I think everyone's seen now the UEFA rules that they put out in the summer, reiterating that if that is the case, then it is a no penalty. So, what do you think actually went on with that? Because he's obviously brought over the screen to review it. Do you think he's really persuaded by the VAR? Or do you think he's watched it and just not, like, known the rules properly?
I'd like to think, because, yeah, throughout the rest of the game, he was absolutely brilliant. I thought, like, because the way the PSG players, for one, I'll just make this point quickly, because they were just infuriating me. The way they were, the ref, the constant whinging and moaning about every little thing, and that probably then, and you could see the ref was controlling that to a degree. He was carding players who were coming up for dissent and everything else. Whether or not just, like, the pressure got to him at that very last moment, and that maybe that even the players and the crowd influenced slightly him being swayed by the going over to the monitor. But yeah, it just seemed like he made the call on the field perfectly fine. He was like, no, like, not interested. Like, he started to run away from it, and then the ball goes out of play, and obviously VAR are in his ear, like, and I don't know, like, I really don't know how he goes from being so sure of things, like, on the field, and he had a pretty good view of it as well in real time, to then, like, be so easily swayed. Like, you want some referees to be strong and not just, like, fold at the look of VAR, like, and be just be comfortable and confident in your own like initial decisions. Like instead, like just getting re-refereed up in a van outside the stadium.
Langley Park, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I don't know what the Champions League's like, but maybe it's a van outside the ground and with like people inside that, like fucking Anton Deck in his ear or whatever. But like,
Hope not.
yeah.
Like.
Well, yeah, not Anton Deck on this occasion, but you know what I mean. Like, it just felt so like it just wasn't. It just didn't. Nah, it just didn't make sense. It did not make sense. Whether or not as well he's potentially trying to make up for ones which he hasn't given earlier. Like obviously there was a one against Miley, and there was another Gordon tackle, which was a very like a lot of people say that was quite debatable. I didn't think either were penalties, but whether or not he's trying to just make up for previous ones by giving that one, I don't know. But it's clearly not a penalty. It really isn't. Like he cannot do anything. His arm is moving, like Eddie said, like in the presser, like it's in a natural running motion, and it comes up off his thigh or chest onto his arm. Like he has no control over that. Like at all, so it should never have even been a factor. But yeah, it's just really frustrating that they've managed to get out of jail with that, because they would otherwise PSG, to me, they squandered that many. They didn't deserve a thing out of that game.
That's the thing. Like, how many times have we said, as soon as the referee goes over to that monitor, we know it's getting overturned. Like even if he on field, as you said, had a good position, they're telling him, basically, we think you potentially have made a big mistake here, like a clear and obvious error. So then he's going over that monitor with it already in his mind that, right, VAR think I've made a big error here. I'll have a look at it. So he's already biased before he even sees it, like going a second back. And also, he sees it back frame by frame by frame. Not that it should matter, because you've seen it come clearly off his chest. But you'll see it slowed down and then come off his arm, which again isn't in an unnatural position. It's down. McCoist was fuming with it, and rightly so. Like, it just didn't make sense. Gina's fuming, but Michael Owen was fuming on Twitter. Fuck me! Like, how bad of a decision has it got to be for him to be backing up? Like, and as you said with Eddie Howe, McCoist had already said everything he needed to say. Like, he went in a lot harder than Eddie could have went in on UEFA, the officials, VAR, whatever. So after the game, it's probably, even though you didn't really say much, you still said more than you ever really see Eddie say, because he was like, I basically agree with everything you've just said there, but I wouldn't have been able to say it. So it's so frustrating, because as you're saying, and as Sam alluded to earlier, 8 minutes, where the fuck did that come from? Like, even when one of the commentators, that might have been McCoist again, he said when it was coming up to 88, 89 minutes, he was like, I'm hearing that there's 6 or 7 minutes being added on here. And even then, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, what? I think I said out loud, what the fuck? Like, where have they possibly got this from? They've made 3 or 4 subs, maybe. We've made 0. There's been one VAR check for less than a minute. Miggy was down for less than a minute. I thought there was going to be 3, maybe at max 4 minutes. This incident happened 4.5 minutes in added time, and the rest is history. Like,
it stinks of some sort of like corruption, like, for me, because you
don't want to say it, but
you don't want to say it because you don't want to come across like
you're
just a bitter fan. But like, come on, like this, they would have carried on playing until PSG found a goal, like, because they couldn't like live with the fact that PSG would have like been. I mean, they would have been out, so
would have been very close.
Or it would have been asking a lot of them had they lost. But just so frustrating. Absolutely, like, you just want a referee to be like, actually, you know what? Like, if VAR comes in his ear and says, like, yeah, you got to go and look at the monitor. Just you want a good, strong referee to be like, actually, you know what? I don't like. I'm sticking with my on-field decision. I had a good enough view of it. I don't think I've made an error. I don't need to see it again. Like, why can't a referee just do that? Like, why did he have to follow this protocol of, like, why is VAR suddenly becoming more powerful than the referee on the pitch? Like, like anything VAR says they have to do, like, it seems like, and you want a referee to just be actually like, no, you know what, I don't, like, I'm refereeing this game perfectly fine, like, I know what I'm doing. But yeah,
I really hope the audio comes
yeah.
out, so we hear what they were saying to the ref, because obviously the referee should be able to see it come off the torso. Like, I actually basically celebrated when I saw the replay and it comes off his torso onto his arm. I was like, yes, it's come off his body first. It's it basically isn't a pen, so like we're fine.
Yeah.
And then obviously something gets said where I saw Joe Linton complaining to the ref at the end as well, and he was like pointing to his elbow and stuff, like basically indicating that it did hit his arm and stuff like this. And like, I just love to hear what VAR was saying, because I don't know if you've seen, but obviously the VAR guy's been took off, or he got took off tonight's games. So I think they're probably saying, like, indicating that it was more the VAR's fault than the refs. But with the ref actually getting to watch the replay, I don't see how we can give that. I think it definitely played into it though, that like the crowd and the players were surrounding him. It was like the third time, and he just wanted like an excuse to basically give them something. And then he's got VAR telling him like, oh, it's coming off his arm in the box. So
yeah,
it's a very easy decision for him to give it to them. But then even then, I was like, this is going to be our night. He's gonna blast it over. I was like, the amount of chances they missed, I was like, it's just fair that we're going to win this game. And then
I was thinking the same. Like, I thought Popey would like just come up with another world class save, because he had made so many in the game. And I mean, Mbappe from a penalty is like, it just seems, it's always going to be the case. And like, it was a good penalty, hit it hard. Like, I don't think many keepers would have been able to stop it. But yeah, back to your point, I think like maybe he was scared in case like the PSG fans were gonna riot if they didn't get something given to them, because like, I mean, their support was as loud as and like boisterous as it was at St James's at times. Like, they just never stopped singing. Like, and
fucking drums, man, they haven't got a good atmosphere. They've just got a drum. That's the only fucking difference.
All right, they got a drum, but like, yeah, obviously we've seen all the stuff pre-match, like the the trouble that was inevitable. Like, you knew it was going to happen, and like, yeah, nasty PSG fans, like, getting after the Toon fans. Yeah, just horrible. Like, why? Like, just I've seen a couple of videos of them like just like throwing furniture like at people. Like, it's just like, there's no need for that. Like, but yeah, it's just such a shame, because we were that close to a memorable away win, which would have just set things up perfectly ahead of the Milan game. Obviously, it's not completely out of question, but it just, we're now needing some favours to if we're wanting to get through to the knockouts.
You know, it's not so like far fetched that we can get through. Like, if we beat Milan at home, then PSG need to beat Dortmund. It's in Dortmund, I think it is as well. Like, they've been the best side we faced.
Dortmund are through. Like, they're qualified now, so they might not put out the strongest.
They'll want to finish top though. Yeah. Like, if they finish top, they'll face a team that's finished at second in their group in the next round. So there is an incentive for them to top the group.
Yeah.
So they won't want to lose at home. Well, they won't want to anyways. I can't see them going really soft on them. And yeah, I think if PSG beat them, then PSG will finish top. So, and if Dortmund lose, they're not automatically through, are they? Because if we win, we're on 8 points. Dortmund are on 10, so yeah.
No, Dortmund are
Dortmund will finish second if they get beat by Paris, so
yeah.
There's still incentive, so I can't see them laying down tools. And if
even a draw works for us, doesn't it? Because head-to-head
draw
rule,
gets gets in Europa. So
yeah.
No,
doesn't a draw get us in the end through second?
No, PSG are 2 points ahead. So
if we beat Milan and they draw, we'll be on the same points, but head-to-head. So
we'll go through on the head-to-heads, which.
So basically, we just need to make sure we win against Milan. That would be a huge win at home. And then either way, we're staying in Europe if we win. So, and nobody really gave us a chance of that before, like when the group was announced. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge game now as well. Like, I'm so jealous anyone who gets to go to that game. Like, that'll be absolutely. That'll be one. You're saying
no one gave her a chance before. Like, no one will give her a chance last night. Like, we needed a result in Paris to like make it through, and we went and got a result. Like, no matter what happened at the end, we still went there and got a point.
Yeah.
So, like, it's given her a chance, as you're saying, for this Milan game. Like, it's in our hands. Like, that we can go through the next round of Europe, even if it's the Europa League. It's out of hands for the Champions League, but we've got a chance. Meanwhile, Tommy's gone. He's making a day trip up to the northeast.
I am. I'm living up to my reputation of only going to the big games, but I'm buzzing for it. It's gonna be quality. Like, there's so much incentive like to do it. And look, we've shown like the whole of Europe as these last 5 games have been that all right, the Dortmund ones we were a little bit out of our depth in, but or at least definitely the away game. But the other games we've played, like, we've been a match for some of the best teams in Europe, and if not better, I think we're definitely better than PSG over the 2 games. Milan, Milan. All right, we got away with one, but that was our first game, like in the Champions League, and I think we did just about scrape the point out of that one. So yeah, I mean, bring them on. Like, St James's, like, it'll be rocking, and like, we'll have
hopefully have a couple of players back from injury as well, so we can actually make some subs.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we're gonna have to bring back to our predictions before the game, talking about nobody giving away a chance. One of us predicted the correct result. So Alex is storming ahead in the European points. And obviously nobody predicted the correct Chelsea score. So, I mean, 4-1 was a bit unpredictable. But I mean, what do you think for getting through then? What's your predictions now? Because I've got a funny feeling that PSG won't get a win away at Dortmund, so I feel like we're going to qualify second.
I tend to agree. I think I don't think PSG will travel well at all, and it's just down to us to get the job done against AC. And right now, based on what I've seen last night, there's no reason to believe that we can't get the win against AC and qualify second. So same boat.
Yeah, like, I'm just having a quick look now to see who the bookies say are going to be favourites to go through the group, because Paris are still favourites over us, but not by a huge stretch. But yeah, we get a win, we do our job, and I think there's a very, very good chance that Dortmund do a favour. Like, it's not an easy place to go. Like, I've been there. Like, it's not a nice place to go and play. I think, honestly, like, the way we played both games against Paris, the way we play at home, every time we play at home, like, it gives us all the confidence that we can beat anyone at home. Anyone.
Yeah.
And Milan, we've beaten better teams than Milan at home this season already. So I've got full confidence we can do it again. yeah, get myself a nice tie, whether it's Champions League or Europa League. Just one more game, like take it one game at a time. You know, that's what Eddie will be saying as well. One game at a time, and then see where it takes me.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
What was the PSG Dortmund score in Paris?
I want to say 2-0 to Paris. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think Paris have like done better in their home games for sure, and just not been the best travellers.
The best gypsies. Let's just touch on a couple of standout performances. Obviously, you want to talk about Lewis Miley, 17-year-old in the centre of the park against PSG in Paris. What a performance from the lad. I think more than his talent is like the fact that he's that young and he's just so unfazed by it all, and he's like, I don't know, he's just so cool, calm, and collected, and he never looks really like he's out of his depth, does he? So.
Not one bit. He looked like every bit of seasoned pro in that game. Like his positioning, like he just knew like to always be backing up like his defenders. Like when we were in the first half under a bit of pressure, and obviously into the second, like he just did everything. All the simple stuff was done well. And yeah, just there's players like in that he's up against who are, good like 10 years older than him playing, against him, and he's just a match for them already. And he's just
being bought for millions and millions as well. Like these players he's against, like
proper like the best sort of comparison I could do is to like who looked really crap for PSG against Miley's performance. I thought that the South Korean lad Lee, he was shocking, and like he couldn't string passes together like or do much. Like, and he was bought for tens of millions recently by PSG. Miley comes through our academy and easily streets ahead of him on the day, I thought. And even like some of the young players that PSG were bringing on, like that they've like spent loads of money on. That Barcola guy who's like 19, 18, 19. Yeah, he's been bought for 40 million, and he could have had a hat trick. Like, it was just mental how many chances were like falling his way, and like. Yeah, I mean that's when I was thinking like it's how a night, like all these chances that were just getting squandered, like obviously the incredible saves that Pope was making, he just thought things were just falling our way. But other players I thought, obviously Livramento again, he had such a quality game against Chelsea, and followed it up again with another great performance. Like he just seemed to, again, playing out on that left side, like not his natural side, but he, again, didn't put a foot wrong, and obviously played a massive part in in our goal. Just dancing along, and just incredible footwork. It was like just to keep that ball close to him and then get it off to Miggy to have the shot. Like all round brilliant. I know he was involved obviously in the penalty, but we know that wasn't his fault. But yeah, I thought he was another standout as well. Incredible performance from him.
Yeah, I'm just going back to Miley, like both sides of his game as well. Like second half, so disciplined. Like he almost sat in between like Lascelles and Trippier. Like he just kept like dropping in on the edge of the box when we were like camped in. Then he'd press his man, and as soon as his man would pass it on, and then he'd just drop back in. Like he was so disciplined. But not only that, Eddie Howe's coaching, it just shows how much of a good coach he is, right? So these long stuff runs that he makes all the time, that he cuts like inside. Miley was making those exact same runs. Like, and it's the first time I've seen Miley really sort of making those like attacking runs like constantly. He was always like running when Miggy got the ball, like him, Trippier, and Miley were making those same kind of runs, and he does it the same for the goal. He just runs off the back, giving Miggy time to take a touch, and obviously the keeper make a mistake. but I was really impressed with those little triangles that they were starting to form. Like in that first half, mainly when we did have a lot more of the ball, but it just honestly it looked like a young mini like Longstaff playing in there, and that's not to do him any like disservice. Like technically, like work rate, like everything, his whole game, it was fantastic. It's the best performance he's had, probably followed by his second best performance at Chelsea as well. Like he's some player, like, and he deserves all the plaudits that he got. Like proper talent.
Yeah, it's a good point about the coaching as well, because I do feel like the fact that doesn't seem to be much of a drop off when these players are coming in who on paper should be like there should be a drop off. They seem to just come in and they know exactly the role they're playing, and they do just slot in and basically do the exact same job as who they're replacing. And I think that's just going to show with any young player who ends up training with the first team for like long periods like Miley has, which makes me quite excited for the likes of Lewis Hall, who we've not really seen yet. Obviously, young player, full of talent, but good at Chelsea. He's now getting coached day in, day out by Eddie and the coaching staff. So, just talking about him though, with Livramento playing left back so well, it's going to be interesting to see, because a lot of people did say when we signed Livramento, like, "Oh, is he coming in as left back?" Because obviously, like, he had played there before, but with him being right-footed and stuff, it was, to me, it was always he was there to kind of replace Trippier when Trippier starts to phase out a bit. But now that he's actually played left back and he's played it so well, it is going to be very interesting to see what we do moving forward, because obviously Burns out for a while longer, and Hall might find like targets out, so Hall might find it a bit harder actually getting the starting 11. But unless you got anything else, we can move on to look ahead to the Man U game, and maybe start with that defence, because what's he going to do? We've just put in a shift, all 11 senior players, for a full 90 minutes. So it's going to be tough for them to play another full 90 at the intensity that we used to. So do you think we'll see maybe Lewis Hall come in at left back and potentially Livramento go back to right back and Trippier get a rest? Or do you think he'll kind of just go starting 11 as best as we can and then look to make changes later in the game?
I'd say the secondary option that you just gave there. I know, like, he's going to be asking a lot of those guys, I hope they got straight in the ice baths like as soon as they got off that pitch, because their muscles would have been screaming at them. But yeah, just going on the back of the game which has been tonight, Man United's Champions League game, and they've had another shocker. They're going to be licking their wounds. I think you got to just go for them, and try and get them as much intensity out of the lads in the first 60 minutes of this game, and then yeah, just phase in the substitutes, kind of similar how we did it against Chelsea, and then we've seen a load of the academy lads come on towards the end of the Chelsea game. But I think we just got to do that, because yeah, they're there. I think Man United they'll be there for the taking. So yeah, try and just hope that the lads have got some energy still in those legs to just go again and keep that intensity up, because I don't think Man United will be able to live with us if we can do that.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, like if we can blow them away, like get a couple of goals up, and then sort of start playing a bit slower, like lowering the tempo down. I think it's probably what Eddie Howe's going to try and do. Like last year at home, near the end of the season, obviously famously on our documentary, like give them a fast game, or give them a fucking fast game. Like, so despite them being in good form, if you look at the teams that they've played and beat, yes, you need to beat the teams like in front of you. But I think something like 8 out of their 9 wins in the league are from bottom half teams, or something like that. Like it's like a ridiculous amount of like games that they've won against like the lower opposition, and then they've lost all the games against like the better opposition. So I think if we go in like hard, fast, we should have enough. Like, and we've got an extra day rest than Man U have, so hopefully
They've had
that could make the difference. Like, especially like they fielded a fairly strong lineup. I want to say tonight. Hoyland came back a lot sooner than I thought he would. Like, he was meant to be out a few weeks, I thought. But pretty much everyone else but Rashford seemed to start. Yeah. So
and the travel as well, like you say, they've got one less day than us, and they're traveling from Turkey compared to us traveling back from Paris, which is relatively easy travel for in comparison. So yeah, they could be like feeling a bit leggy themselves. But yeah, some of their individual performances tonight, again, they get so heavily scrutinised, like the Man United players when they have bad games, and Onana like has had another shocker, and that'll be a big question mark whether or not they look to maybe take him out the limelight a little bit.
I hope not, like.
Well, no, I hope not as well, because I think
if we press him like we press like Sanchez, fucking happy days. Play on Honor, please.
Yeah, no, definitely. Somebody I would be looking at too is like to target and get like mistakes out of him, because at the minute he's just gifting them to every team that he's coming up against, it seems. So yeah, there's reasons to be confident of getting something positive out of this Man United game, despite obviously the fact that our players are just running on empty at the minute.
Like, if there's one thing we can do, no, go on, Sam. Like, I was just going to say, if there's one thing we can do, is making other teams make mistakes. Like, we've done it with Paris. Like we were saying in the first half, like, keep pressing them and they'll make mistakes. They've done it in the first leg, and they were looking like shaky when some people got the ball. Danilo, when he had the ball at his feet, like he didn't want it. He just didn't want the ball. So there's a few players in that Man U side. Like, I know Maguire's been playing better lately, but he's got a mistake in him. Like, press him. Like, I know Isak's still not going to be back up to full fitness. Like, he's not pressing like he does when he is fit. But if he can give it that for the first sort of like half an hour, 45 minutes, they will make mistakes. I'm sure of it, and we're definitely good enough to capitalise on them.
Yeah, I was going to say, what worries me is that, like you pointed out during the match, the PSG match, that Gordon looked kind of dead on his feet, and we really need him if we're going to do the press, because isn't really at that point where he's pressing too much, and you probably don't want him to, because if he goes too hard too soon, and he's just done like 90 minutes or 98 minutes in Paris, he's going to end up picking up another injury, and obviously we don't have another option. So it worries me slightly that I think Miggy should be fine, but those front three are going to be like... Yeah, he did.
Yeah, what a performance by him.
I feel like he's one of them, though, like his fitness is that good that he can keep going and going. We've seen that with the amount of minutes he got like last season and stuff. But I don't know how much we can really change it anyway. So like, there's rumours Longstaff could make it, but I'd imagine it's more going to be off the bench anyway. So
yeah,
for me, I think we can only really make changes in defence, because the players who weren't eligible for Champions League include Kraft and Matt Ritchie. So we could potentially see that starting lineup that we put out in the cup at Old Trafford. But something tells me he's not going to do that really, like in the Premier League. But do you think there's a chance Paul Dummett comes in at left centre half? Because Shaw's been like playing a lot of football recently, hasn't he? So get the old Dummett and Lascelles partnership back out.
Love it. Absolute championship.
Throwback to 2016.
Look, Dummett had a solid game at Old Trafford. Like, at the same time, I don't think he was really put under that much pressure in that game. So I'd expect Man United to be a little bit, well, more than expect them to be better than they were in that game, and would put more pressure on Dummett and some of those guys, Kraft coming in, if he was to come in, like. But yeah, no, I would think again, like I was saying before, potentially see those guys coming in like at the 60, 70 minute mark, and hopefully by that point, like Alex was saying, that we might be a couple of goals up, to roll that dice on it. Obviously we've got to then look ahead to the Thursday game, so again, games coming thick and fast at this time of year, so we do still have to be conscious of that. There's just no way that you could expect the team to go like for full 90-minute stints, like consistently through these next few matches.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like 10 games in about 33 days or something like that. It's like literally like 2 a week every week until New Year now. So we need players back so desperately because, as you're saying, we can't play our strongest lineup every week. Like, we're going to get more injuries that way. But it's just like we don't really have a lot of easy games at the moment either. So when do you rest players like against Man United, like 1 point ahead of we in the table? Like, we're going to be fighting with them for the sort of European spots at the end of the calendar year or whatever. So yeah, it's just tough. Like, it's not an easy job at Eddie Howe. Like,
absolutely,
some of these youngins are going to have to help.
And I think there's obviously promise there, like with some of those like guys that have come in, like if they just need to look at Lewis Miley and just be like, yeah, look at how well he's took his chances, like, and all right, yeah, Miley I think is just one of those gifted, talented players who, was always going to shine. But you look at like the young lad, striker Nidwini, like if he can come on, he had energy. He was running around like against Chelsea, and all right, might have just looked a bit like giddy when he came on and just was just darting, chasing the ball and stuff. But why not give them like a little go? But it's when Eddie wants to take those risks with the fixtures coming up, where he thinks those guys could like step in, and it's not going to be too much of a concern to have them be playing over others. Maybe the Everton away game, like we could see some changes where some of those other youngsters get starting appearances. Got to just see what Eddie thinks on that one. But looking at these fixtures, it is just absolutely, the timing of things is just so horrible that we've got so many out with such massive games.
Yeah, we've got that Alex Murphy as well, who could potentially play in defence. I'm just wondering whether we might see something like Livramento go right wing again, just to give one of the wingers a bit of rest, with Lewis Hall being able to come in, or we do give Trippier rest. But I think if we rested Trippier, we don't have like a set piece taker really. So then maybe Richie does come in, and then they give Gordon rest as well. And then you've got that option off the bench later on if we do need something. Because what worries me is like if we start everyone again, if it's not working come the 60-minute mark, if we're not in the lead, then you're in that position where you either then pushing the players too far, or you're making changes that aren't actually really going to change the game too much. Like, no offense to him, but bringing Matt Ritchie on at 60 minutes doesn't really make you think like we're pushing for a goal here, does it? So,
no, he's not a game changer anymore, is he? He's definitely his role. You can tell, like even in himself when he comes off the bench, that he's like just there to do a job. Like he's not looking
get
to
a yellow card within 2 minutes against Chelsea.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's such a this is going to be probably one of Eddie's toughest assignments, like since he's been here, to guide us through these games and obviously keep us going in the right direction in the league. Like we don't want to fall away from the position we're in. It's pretty tight and precarious, and if we were to get a couple of bad results in these next few games against the teams around us, Man U, got Tottenham in a few weeks as well, and then Everton, who are trying to turn things around again. So, like, we could end up going from being in touch and distance to dropping quite a way down, like more towards mid-table, which, yeah, we just don't want to find ourselves in that position. So, yeah, I think it is probably Eddie's toughest point as manager.
That Willock injury is such a huge blow because he can play on the left to give Gordon a rest. He can play, obviously, centre mid, and we can rotate things more. And then at the same time, Longstaff's out. Is there anyone rumoured to be coming back apart from Longstaff? Like, I know Harvey Barnes is like not too far off, but I think it's still a couple of weeks. And then whether his fitness is going to be there or not.
Yeah, I think the Barnes, the Wilsons, the Andersons are all maybe like a good 3 weeks away now, which is how many games? Another 5 games or something? Like,
yeah.
I think Longstaff's the only one who I don't even know whether it's imminently, but it's Eddie Howe's words. Like he said, PSG game was too soon for him, so we're just guessing beyond that. So,
do we know when Murphy might come back from his shoulder?
I think it's end of January, that, because he's had to have surgery basically to stop his shoulder popping out. So that's a 3-month one from obviously when you've done it a second time.
Yeah.
And then Burns was about a similar kind of injury with the lower back. Obviously, it's just one where you just got to relax and rest up, and there's nothing you can do to sort of make it heal quicker. Obviously, even Willock, Achilles, like, it's so fragile. Like, it's like the recurring injury. Like, you come back too soon, and that's done again. So it's just so many horrible injuries that there's nothing we can do about it. And they've all happened in game as well. It's not like they've been overexerting themselves in training or stuff like that. I think Eddie said that we've barely been training at all because we've been playing that many games. So it's just all these in-game injuries. It's horrendous.
I know, yeah. And that was me thinking, like, you know, we used to get quite a lot of injuries under previous management and stuff, and they all seem to be similar injuries. I don't think that's the case now. I think obviously there's been improvements made, like in the medical teams and stuff, to try and like manage players better. But you, like you say, there are just unfortunate in-game injuries which you just can't control. But at the same time, could you make a case that the style of play, because we press so much and we put a lot, or expect a lot from players, that we are just sort of deteriorating them like slowly to a point where injuries do become more susceptible? Like, I don't know, could you make that argument in some cases? But yeah, it's just going to be a test, like, for Eddie to just get through it. But at the same time as well, just highlights the need for reinforcements in January. Like, I think that has to be pretty clear now to Amanda and co. Like, that we just cannot have such a wafer-thin squad trying to compete across 4 competitions. It's just not.
Here comes the money.
Feasible,
money,
yeah.
Money.
Need to drop
call
it.
Daddy in Saudi Arabia and get him to give us some pocket money, then we'll be all right.
100 million will be nice in Jan.
Did you see when Gordon went down? I think it was against Chelsea, and it looked like for a second that he picked up an injury, and like the camera went over to the owners, and Amanda's there just like head in hands, literally, like, just so that they're obviously feeling it as well. Like, so it'll be an interesting one, because Eddie did say in a recent press. I think it was the pre-Chelsea press conference. Like he keeps maintaining that they've made no plans yet because we've got so many injuries coming back at around January that
Bollocks.
we might not need to make signings. So
yeah.
Honestly, there's a reason Dan Ashworth came out and gave an interview for the press, and we've no idea what it is, but he's got a plan, and it's not just to sit on his hands.
Yeah,
he's got something in the pipeline. I don't know what it is, but we're getting someone in. I know we are. 1st of January, we registered for the Liverpool game on day 1. Boom, new signing.
Well, yeah, we've got 9 games before that point. Or 8 games, sorry, because Jan the 1st will be the 9th game, where if we have got somebody lined up, they could just go straight into that Liverpool game. But yeah, it's going to be just huge, those 8 games, just to try and navigate it with what we've got and just pray that there's no more injuries that come about. I've really just, another injury would just be like, heartbreaking.
So in terms of Man U, then obviously, like we know Rashford on his day can be a threat. Bruno Fernandes is, he's always got something late in the game. But where do we see them coming back from Turkey, apart from Ten Hag maybe having a new hairstyle? Where do we see them hurting us?
10 hairs
on the day.
10 hairs. Garnacho is obviously the most obvious one. Who's in form, scored an absolute world beater goal against Everton. I mean, come on, I know we don't like them, but you have to take your hat off.
Fluke, like Bergkamp, came off his shin.
I thought that was the Rooney one that came off the shin.
No, I'm saying Garnacho's did as well.
Fair dues. So, and then he's obviously scored again against Galatasaray. So yeah, he's banging form goal wise. But yeah, didn't necessarily do an awful lot against us in that game at Old Trafford. So yeah, I can't think of too many others that stand out right now, apart from the ones you've mentioned. Obviously, Højlund's not necessarily scored too many Premier League goals, so
zero in fact.
Zero. I thought he might have had one sneaky one.
Many. The least of many.
The least of many. So he's been obviously great in the Champions League for them. He's got goals in that, but I'd if he's going to start through the middle, then we just need to be wary of him as well. So yeah, I don't know. Apart from that, though, it's like I'm not going to like lose sleep over too many of their players and their threats, because I think, as we've shown already once this season, we can definitely nullify quite a few of their players already. So yeah,
there's no silly 98-minute pens, and I think we should be all right.
Yeah,
a bit of discipline as well, I think.
Yeah, like obviously there's players like Bruno that can get under our skin, and yeah, so there's some of our players who can get wound up a little bit. So as long as we don't get pulled into their stupid games, and like keep our heads on, we should be sound.
I'm already just horrible image popped in my head of Joe Linton just nutting Bruno Fernandes, like
Bruno on Bruno action.
Or Bruno, yeah, Bruno on Bruno, like the Toon players come out on that every time in those battles, but Joe Linton even like couldn't help himself last night against PSG.
I don't know. I thought that yellow card was a bit unfortunate.
A little, but his arm was quite high up, and like the
strong
guy made a meal of it.
I think the replay did look a bit harsh, but in real time I was like, fucking hell. Like, he's just bombed it across and like wiped them. So
clothesline from hell. It's so those you're right. Those are the sort of battles in the midfield which are gonna.
It's more just because we can't afford any suspensions at all. Like, I don't know if there's anyone on yellows that if they pick one up, will miss them for a game. But anything daft. Like, we just can't afford anyone getting sent off or anything. So, with teams like this, like, they are so frustrating, and with our temperament in the middle of the park, I just think we really need to have our heads screwed on, play sensible football, and I don't know who the ref is either. Like, in that Chelsea game, I thought the ref was actually pretty decent. I think he gave Joe Linton a yellow for a high arm in that one as well, didn't he? So it'll be interesting to see who's reffing the game, and whether there is any controversial VAR decisions again. But have you seen, just talking about the Garnacho overhead kick, have you seen on Twitter, obviously everyone's like bringing out the different overheads over the years, and then there's like some classics from like Nicky Butt where he just like overhead kicks it out for a throw. Was it Batty who just overhead kicked someone in the face? Yeah, some classics.
So apparently we've got 2 players on 4 yellows, Longstaff and Trippier, so Trippier needs to watch himself, because we could do with him not being banned for a game at this point this season.
Yeah, and the Everton game's away, isn't it, afterwards? So
it is. It's always midweek away. There's some kind of deal that we've got with the Merseyside police, I'm sure. That's Everton away is always midweek.
I think, that sort of rings a bell now, because we've always it always seems to fall on, is it the Amazon Prime week as well, where where the games are all on Prime. That fixture always seems to be on that. So it'll be a good watch. And I thought they were going to be a lot better, Everton, against Man United than they turned out to be.
Same.
So they're going to need to start picking up results. So that's why you wouldn't necessarily say that's an absolute given either, because they're.
I think that's a tougher game than the Man U at home, I think, which is why I feel like we could see some rotation, limited rotation, at the weekend. Like with Trippier being on 4 yellows, maybe we do see him rested. Especially like Livramento has obviously got a bit more pace against Garnacho, or Rashford if he's on that side. So I mean, that's all we can really swap around is the defence. So we'll see what happens. But we'll probably have 3 keepers on the bench again, I'd imagine. Prediction time then.
Let's
go.
All right, Man United.
I'll go first for once then.
Go on.
I reckon solid 2-0. I'd surprise if I see them score though. Like, they might score on the counter. McTominay is obviously probably the biggest goal threat at the moment, arriving late. So as long as we keep him quiet and track the runs, then even if we play Lewis Hall or flip Trippier the bench and start the Livramento outright, got full confidence we can keep them at bay. Like,
I am going to say 3-1. I think I said the same scoreline against Chelsea.
I said 3-2 against Chelsea, 3-1 against PSG.
Right, okay. Yeah. No, I think there is definitely like a goal for Man United, but I'd like to think that we're reasonably comfortable by that point when they do score. But 3-1, that's what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go 4-2.
Woo! Well, that's a Premier League classic in the making.
I'll take it, to be honest. But... All right, well, I guess that's it for the Man U preview. Looking ahead to the week after, we obviously go to Everton away, and then we've got that game against Spurs away on the Sunday after that, which is live on Sky, I believe. It's like the late kickoff on the Sunday. So we'll be back next week to discuss those games, preview them, and review what happens in the Man U game. I'm praying, fingers crossed, no more injuries, no suspensions. Everyone gets back to full fitness as quick as possible. I'd like to see Longstaff back against Man U as well. Get him some minutes in his legs, and then he can get some rest for maybe Joe Linton or somebody like that against Everton. But yeah, we'll be back then, and looking ahead to what could be a massive, massive night at AC Milan later in the month of December. I think that one's the game after Spurs. So loads of action to come, loads of good episodes coming up. So hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Follow us on any podcast platform where you get your podcast from, and on social media at stjames'pod. I'm forgetting something. What else do I need to say? Like,
Tell your
subscribe.
mates. Tell your mates to stop listening.
Yeah.
Tell two mates.
Tell
two mates, and then we'll go global. Yes.
How's the fantasy football going? Have we checked in on that?
I haven't checked in on our team, like.
You
but,
didn't want to know.
Been abandoned, I think.
You can still join the league, and you'll probably be way ahead of us. So it's an instant win if you come and join the league. The link will be in the description. And yeah, join us next week, guys. And yeah, we'll be back then. See you in the next one.
Wanna hear you go.